What's up YouTube, Webberz05 here, coming at you today with Q&A number 65. So I've got two sets of questions today. First set of questions are from my good friend Darkmagician84 with 7 questions. 1. Ever seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Yes, it's by far my favourite movie trilogy ever. I absolutely love the Lord of the Rings franchise. I also really enjoyed the Hobbit prequels when they came out as well. I absolutely loved Lord of the Rings. It was probably one of the first movies I saw in cinema when I was growing up. I remember going to see it with my dad and the rest of my family. I absolutely love the films. I've also seen a couple of the extended versions as well. I think I saw like the extended of the first one and the second one, and then I've seen like some of the clips from the extended on YouTube, so from the third one. So overall, I thought it was an absolutely brilliant series, and it'll always remain my favourite movie trilogy ever. 2. What's your favourite collection you own? Whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, or Digimon? To be fair, that's not really... I'd have to say Yu-Gi-Oh on reason that's not really a fair comparison. I don't have a Digimon collection. My Pokemon collection is currently in process of almost being finished. And so my home personal Yu-Gi-Oh collection is the only one which is actually finished, so it's not really a fair comparison. Digimon, I'm probably not going to make a collection. I'm just kind of enjoying that as a nice alternative game that I can play. Pokemon, as I've been saying in the past, I'm really getting into, and I do have a Pokemon collection I'm working on right now, which is I'm trying to collect a Pokemon card of every Pokemon I played on my final team, which is almost finished. Essentially, the main things I'm struggling with finding are the Mega Evolutions, which are a bit more pricey, but hopefully I can get those sorted out soon and the collection will be done. But yeah, overall, probably would have to be my home personal Yu-Gi-Oh collection, which is pretty much the largest assortment of assorted things. Like, I've got a page of Arc 5 because that was my favourite series. I've got one of all the Neos fusions. Got the front page is just sets of gods from different trios from different series, and what other collections I've got all the numbers, or at least all the main numbers up to that point. I haven't really counted any of these alternate ones which came out with, you know, like Shadow Mosquito, things like that. And then in the end, back part of the binder is essentially basically some of my favorite cards of each card type. And also like a page of ultimate rares for each summon method, with the exception of rituals, because there are really not as many ritual ultimate rares in the game. I have checked though; there is enough for me to do one page, but they're very expensive for me to try and get. So I'm currently happy with the 3 that I do have. 3. What was your best tech in any of your Yu-Gi-Oh decks? Oh, that is a tough one for me to think about. I have done a lot of good and fun techs over the years. That is very hard for me to call. But I think probably the favourite one I have done would have to be a toss-up between Majestic Star Dragon during Guard Dragon format, where I combined it with Odd Eye's Persona Dragon to keep it on the field during my opponent's turn, so it's a walking nuke, and also a side deck tech during like Thunder Dragon, when Thunder Dragon was huge, and I was just playing Defusion in the side deck just for Thunder Dragon Colossus, because it was essentially one of the best ways of dealing with it. Because I'm just like, okay, Colossus, I can't if I attempt to destroy in battle card phase, he's just going to banish a Thunder and go off. Let's just defusion that, put it back in the extra deck. Yeah, that was quite fun. But yeah, that's not an easy one for me to call because I have done so many techs, but those 2 are probably the ones that stand out most for me. 4. What was your favourite tech in any of your Yu-Gi-Oh decks? Again, that's a bit difficult, but favourite. Hard to say what my favourite is. Because, like, I have different favourites for different reasons and different formats. Like, when Orcus was a huge format, my favourite tech was Gravekeeper's Shaman, because Gravekeeper's Shaman just said "fuck the graveyard," which basically in that format basically meant you won the game, which was so much fun. I remember in a dueling network match I had during that format, I was able to go Gravekeeper's Shaman and Necro Valley, and I was in fact against an Orcus player. He basically just like saw what I did, read the field, and like, and to quote the meme of how it goes, he was basically like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." Yeah, that was pretty fun to do. So I think for me, probably any tech I've done off of Magician's Souls is probably one of my favorites. Though I did also tech quite a few extra deck dragons again during Guard Dragon format when Argopane was still legal. And I think one of my earlier techs that I did, because Sky Striker was still big at that time, and that was when I was playing King Dragoon as an Argopane tech. Simply because King Dragoon essentially shuts down Sky Striker from doing anything, because all of their forms of disruption target, and King Dragoon says you can't target my dragons. So it was basically just an auto win, which was very nice. Question 5. Do any of your Pokemon or Digimon decks play any spicy techs? Not that I know any of the cards, but I'm curious. So for my Digimon, I'm playing Gallantmon, and frankly, there's nothing spicy at all in that deck. It's very straightforward, because I was just trying to get the hang of the deck. Still kind of am, so nothing really too spicy in that. And my Pokemon decks, my Lost Box deck is very straightforward for a Lost Box. Nothing really too spicy in there. My other deck, which is Meowscarada Vespiquen EX, essentially the only spicy thing about that is the fact that I am combining Meowscarada with Vespiquen, considering that individually they are two decks, but can work somewhat well together with Meowscarada's ability to put damage onto your opponent's bench, and then Meowscarada's main attack, which puts additional damage counters onto your opponent's bench for anything that already has damage, so they kind of synergize in each other that way. But I have seen builds online that has been a slight thing, but frankly most people tend to just use each one as their own individual deck, but I quite like using them together. 6. What if somebody mixed Dark Magician and Endymion cards together? I know in an older episode I asked if it could work, but I wonder what your reaction would be if someone did that. I would probably find it quite interesting. It would also naturally depend what each of the cards does. Frankly, I'd be more interested to see on what your reaction would be, considering they're combining your favorite monster from your favorite archetype with one of your least favorite monsters from a least favorite archetype. So I'd be more interested in seeing what you would think about what would happen if we do that. And final question from Dark Magician, question 7. If you had a clone, would you play different matchups with your Yu-Gi-Oh decks? If I had my own clone, I think I'd more likely just use it as a chance to test my Pokemon decks as opposed to my Yu-Gi-Oh decks. But I suppose it could be fun if I wanted to. I suppose it could be fun from a tabletop perspective, because I could have one of us running an event at DU, one of us heading to an event at TTR, and then we just get twice as much prizes. So that'd be pretty fun. But yeah, that could be very interesting. And the last question is from Sparkman, which seems to be a continuation of a question he asked Dark Magician 84 on his Q&A, in which we kind of pile on off each other within the comments. What is your favorite burn card, and why is it Long One? So Long One is not my favorite burn card. My favorite burn cards are actually a toss-up between Performer Pal Gatling Ghoul and Berserker Soul. So for me, Gatling Ghoul just has a nice place in here for all the times back when I was on Pendulum Magician or Odd Eyes variants. Just being able to go do my battle phase, Pendulum attacks into a monster, effective dissolver, special summon itself. If I didn't quite have the damage, main phase 2, effective dissolver, fuse itself with like Joker or something, make Gatling Ghoul and just burn my opponent out of the rest of their life points. Which was fun. Which was nice. Yeah. or sometimes in the rest, or in the rest scenario if my opponent's got like a big monster in the main phase 1 and I've got chronograph and dissolver, I could go do some effects, pop something, chronograph effect, special itself, special dissolver effect, fuse with chronograph, Gatling goal effect, burn, pop your monster, burn, battle phase, smack, game. I mean, there's like very few situations I've ever not wanted to do Gatling goal. Gatling goal has just stolen so many games from me, and it's probably one of my favourite Fusion monsters to boot. And as for Berserker Soul, I mean, frankly, when you're playing a huge monster engine in Cyberdarks and you're able to actually resolve the card for 4K against Dark Magician 84, you kind of have to have it as a special place in your heart as one of your favourite burn cards. Still can't believe I was able to do that. I mean, I can. The ratio of monsters to spells and traps was dramatically in my favour. I think in this Dangerous Cyberdark variant I was playing, I played a grand total of 6 spells and traps. So at the point of when I was using it, I think I'd already played at least 3 of mine, which like also includes one of my copies of Berserker Soul. So the odds were dramatically within my favour to go for a huge burn. Good times. Unless you're Dark Magician 84. Sorry, man. But you've got to admit, that made for an interesting game. And on that note, guys, that is all the questions I have for today. So thank you very much to Dark Magician and SparkTech for your questions. Very amusing and very nice to just do a bit of reminiscing on some of my best moments. And if anyone else has any questions for me, I do these Q&As every Wednesday, UK time, morning or afternoon, depending on my schedule. So get your questions in before then. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.